welcome to episode 20 of West End Talks. We're at the 20th episode. Where has the time gone, really? But to join us for our 20th episode, we have the legendary Matt Mills, who you'll know from Richard Bullock and Cover Ike in Tina the Musical when it reopens in the West End. And also playing in the ensemble, but also some covers of Motown and beautiful UK tours. So welcome, Matt Mills.
Hey.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
The pleasure's ours, definitely. So you, as you said, you'll be joining the cast of Tina when when it reopens after the lockdown, which it will, hopefully soon, rather than later, because we're all missing it, fans and casts alike. But the first question, we ask everybody this question because it gets us into the episode nice and easily, is what got you into performing?
Oh God, okay. What got me into performing? So when I was a kid, I loved singing and acting and dancing anyway. I come from a family of brilliant performers, especially two specifically. One being Leonora Stapleton. She's a absolutely phenomenal dancer and was, I think, one of the choreographers or one of the assistant choreographers on Memphis.
Okay.
And my other cousin being Jason Pennycook, who you'll know from Hamilton. So
yes,
he's one of my cousins too. So I come from a really performers family, very creative, artistic family. So I've always loved singing and acting and dancing and stuff. But when I was in high school, I was quite shy. I was very outgoing in terms of people, but in terms of showing off talent, as it were, I was really, really shy. So I didn't feel like I had a place to fit in high school. I was like very like, oh, I want to be creative, but I can't. So I was in that kind of place. And then I did something that no one should ever do, and I skived off school. But I skived off school in a way that was really, really bad. So what I did was my mum has been a secretary for a lot of her life. So she's a medical secretary now, but she was secretary for the railway up until I was about, maybe about 15 years old. And when you have a parent who is a secretary, they have a phone voice, and their phone voice is something that's very, very easy to emulate once you've heard it quite a few times. So with my voice in transition of being like breaking, I could emulate my mum's phone voice really, really well. So I rang in as my mum so many times to the point where my attendance at school was at the lower 20th percentile. So it was about 22, 21%. And it was around about the time, my timing's perfect, that they were taking away parents to jail based on the absences of the children at school. Yeah, so I got dragged into school, basically questioned my mum as to why I wasn't, going to school, and my mum was really, really disappointed in me. And yeah, school was just basically saying, how did you get, sound like your mum? And I was like, well, I just emulated her voice because I can do mimicry really well. So they went, well, I think you're using your gifts in the wrong place, Matthew. So effectively, as a plan to make my mum proud of me and gain her respect again, I figured out a ways of integrating myself back into school, but also simultaneously being able to show creatively what I could do. So I made a plan. I sat down and wrote out a plan, Home Alone style, how to win back my mum's respect. And I did my first ever show in my high school called Guys and Dolls. I played Nathan Detroit, and from then on, I've had the book ever since. So that's how I got into it through deception and treachery. But no,
not the best way, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching at home, that's not the best way to get into theatre.
No, I would not say that.
And West End Talks, Joe doesn't condone skipping school.
No, definitely.
Whatever works for you. So that was definitely that's one of the most interesting answers I've ever had for that question. That's definite. Yeah. That's definite. Usually it's all family, or it's just been born into you. It was skipping school. That was I'll never forget that one. So you mentioned your first school production, which was Guys and Dolls. But what was your first professional production?
My first professional production was Sweeney Todd, way back in the day. And I also did a Breeze Festival performance, doing some like contemporary dance pieces and infusing it with Indian and Asian style dance as well. So there was that, and there was like doing Sweeney Todd as well. So yeah, that was it. Did that in Leeds. It was great.
Yeah, because you've done a bit of backing dancing as well, haven't you? You've done.
I have. Yeah.
Kyle Rogers, I saw that in your CV.
Yeah.
Craig David, one of them, wasn't that?
Yes, it was indeed. Yeah.
The Alex, let's see. Yeah, I've done my research, man.
You've done your research, dude. You know.
I don't come in here blind.
Yes, no, that's good. That's very good.
So obviously, as I mentioned at the start, you haven't actually started in Tina yet, because of the lockdown. But you have done. You were ready to go, before lockdown happened. So talk us through the rehearsal stages before we go into the fans' questions. So you've done a lot of rehearsing.
Yeah, like? a whole heap of rehearsing. It was intense, but in the best of ways. I become a real nerd when it comes to preparation for a role. So I sit down. I read Tina Turner's autobiography. I also read Ike Turner's autobiography, and kind of went in with at least a handful of knowledge, in terms of the wide, vast life of Tina Turner. Yes. But yeah, the rehearsals schedule was amazing. Like the cast, the new cast, because this is the biggest cast turnover that Tina's had in the West End so far. A lot of people coming in new to this story and to these characters, and it was so fun. Like every single person was ready to go. They had their stuff down. They knew what their character was, and it was just about refining it and building it, and I adore it. I love rehearsals are like my favorite time. Don't get me wrong, I love performing, but finding the character and playing around and messing about with ideas with the director and the MD and stuff, trying on your costume for the new time, like everything's new and exciting. Yeah, she has, Tina Turner herself has such a rich story, so much strength and beauty and triumph and overcoming adversity through race, through her gender, through her music, and she was just a phenomenal woman. So I was really happy to be in a room full of loads of other people who felt the same way about the story and about the material. So it was amazing. I love it.
I'm a massive fan of Tina, because obviously, as well as just her career, she did come over a lot of personal. Obviously, if you know much about Tina, obviously Ike had a lot of issues. Her and Ike had a lot of issues and stuff, which I'm sure come up in the musical. But they certainly do in their film and her book. So I like how you've read the book. That's my kind of preparation, definitely. Read autobiographies, read books, read the internet to a certain extent.
Interviews as well, like the plethora of interviews, especially for with Tina and Ike and them separately, and kind of viewing their perspective of their situation together in very different lights, was so interesting. It was really interesting. It's just great people to kind of play and immortalize as well. Yeah,
it must be quite hard though, because like it's different for, like, I'm trying to think of an example, like you've actually not been in anything that I can think of that's not real. Like Mamma Mia, for example, just off the top of my head, Mamma Mia is not a real story. It's set to real music, but it's not a real story. Whereas Tina is actually, it's all real people, all the characters are real. Okay, some of it might have been like fabricated for entertainment purposes, but it's real people. You're playing, obviously, Richard, who was real, and obviously you cover Ike, who again was real. So that must come with added pressure.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, no one's fully expecting you to be Ike, to be Tina, to be exactly like them, 100%. But the things that I guess they're expecting to see are the character traits, the idiosyncrasies of that person. Even if, for example, with Ike, there are certain idiosyncrasies about him and certain things that people want to see when they see a Tina concert. The little kicks, the flicks, the little bit of the little idiosyncrasies that she's got. they expect to see those. And I think as long as those are fulfilled and have a, you know, really, really powerful, amazing, booming voice that all our girls who play Tina do, then that's what people are expecting to see. And it's our interpretation of these characters based within the director's vision of who they see Tina as. And I think that's kind of what we're looking to put across. So the pressure comes from, I think you can beat pressure by being prepared. You know, I think coming into a story such as this, where, you know, it's documenting the entirety of someone's, not entirety of someone's life, but a broad spectrum of their life. You have to sit down and do your research. And I think that can beat some of the pressure away. You know, it's, you know, coming in and knowing things about Ike, coming in knowing things about Tina, coming in knowing things about Richard, which there is little of, actually. But, you know, and knowing as much as you can before you get in the room can beat away some of the pressure. And then also you have, you know, so long to rehearse. It's in your body. It's right there in your body and in your voice and in your mind. So they make sure you're so prepared and feel so comfortable with the material and what you'll have to undertake doing the role. So I think being prepared before you come in the room, and then whilst you're in the room, and then once you get to the theatre, you just want to tell the story. That's the point we were at before lockdown. We were just like, we want to tell the story. We want to tell the story. Yeah, we were ready to blow, man. And you know, when we come back, you'll see what we mean. We'll see what we mean. Well,
I'll be there. Don't worry. Definitely without a doubt, I'll be there. So moving on. Well, very quickly, for anybody that hasn't seen it, don't give too much away. Obviously, we don't look for spoilers. But who is Richard?
Okay, so Richard is Tina's father, basically. He was a Baptist preacher and also the head of a kind of plantation. Not the head of it, not the plantation owner, but he was an overseer. So he was a person who basically kept the rest of the workers in place, in line. But within that, and his dual kind of like responsibility as being a priest, he has a lot of responsibility within the community. And Richard opens the show. Basically, he's the first person, or he's the first thing that sets the scene for the show that we're about to watch. Yeah, that's all I'll say. But he's great. He's a very
good then if you're opening the show.
Yes. I never thought my West End debut would be me opening a West End show. So there's that. But it's a great song, and I feel very, very honoured and very very trusted to continuously open the show every night with such a phenomenal song. You know, I get to sing a great song, so I can't complain too much.
Is there a bad Tina Turner song?
No.
I didn't think so.
No,
not really.
No, there's not. But I'm biased towards mine just because it's mine. But no, my favorite.
I can understand that. Yeah.
No, my favorite song is "I Can't Stand the Rain," by far. I love that song so much. So yeah, it's great.
That is a good song. But moving on, we will now take no responsibility for the questions that are coming, because they are all from either your fans or fans of the show, or shows that, because we do have some questions about other shows that you've done. So you were more recently in the tour of Motown.
Yes,
UK
I was.
Tour, and you have been in the 2017 tour of Beautiful.
I have, yes. Yeah.
See, research all done? No, I knew that anyway, because I had actually seen you in the cast of Beautiful. Because I went to see the tour after I saw it in the West End. It was fantastic. But anyway, so moving on, Claire wants to know, have you ever met the woman herself?
Have I ever met Carole King?
Tina. No, Tina.
Okay. Tina. No. I really, really want to. She's phenomenal. But no, we've had you know, we've been informed about her. She's been informed obviously about our casting and stuff like that. But no, I haven't met her. I really hope to though. One day, hopefully she'll make the trip over.
She has been over to London a few times, hasn't she? Or at least once anyway.
She has, yeah, she has. She's made it over once. I hope she does it again, because it'd be great to meet her. Because when I did Beautiful, I never got to meet Carole King, which is a shame. But yeah, I hope to get to meet Tina. It'd be really, really good to meet Tina. So yeah.
No, she was fantastic. Yeah, But because she is quite hefty, she is quite hands-on, isn't she, in the musical? Tina?
Yes,
so it's quite,
absolutely.
Certainly initially.
Yeah, absolutely. She was there at all the workshopping and stuff like that. She was, and it premiered in the UK. So
it did, yeah, which actually I didn't know until I did my research for you.
Yeah.
After it was premiered on Broadway.
Yeah, it's because she had a lot more initial support of her solo music over in the UK, over in Europe. Europe were more on board with the original Tina sound. And that's the reason why she chose to open it in Europe and chose the UK to do it. So there you go. And there are links to that in the show as well. There we go. Yeah, you'll get to see. So.
Yeah, if you can't see it. Vanessa wants to know, what will it be like bringing the legend story to life? I think you've kind of covered it, but just...
Yeah, no, it is a great honor. It's a great honor and a privilege. She wrote some amazing songs that defined a generation and defined an era. Like I said, she overcame some phenomenal tests of strength and self-belief in terms of her music and in terms of her personal life. And it's an honor. It's an absolute honor to tell the story of such a prolific artist. And yeah, to be part of it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's a great story to tell, especially at the moment. It's a story that's very, very much needed at the moment, because she has overcome a lot, especially with her race and music. But we'll not go too deep into that, but we do support it, and we want, obviously, the stories to be heard. Ricky wants to know, I think you've answered it, but we'll ask it just for Ricky's benefit. What is your favourite song in the show?
Yes, favourite song in the show is definitely I Can't Stand the Rain. It's just gorgeous.
Why?
And why? Okay, I like how, one of the things I love about Tina is that it's not just, with a lot of jukebox musicals, you have a lot of songs that are in there just because we need to put this song in and that song in because that fits in with, this around about this time period. But with Tina, every story is used to push a story beat, to really, really push a story beat. It's not just, we're going to put in Simply the Best because it's simply the best. It's put in because it pushes the story beat along. And I Can't Stand the Rain it happens in Act 2, and a lot of stuff has happened up to that point. And I don't want to spoil it, but it is gorgeous the way they represent what has gone on and how she's feeling and what she's ready to do after that. And another song actually is I think it's called Tonight. Everything will be all right tonight. It's a lovely song, and it happens again in Act 2, and it is gorgeous. And I'm not telling you who it's sung by because that's a massive spoiler, but it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous, and it makes me very happy to listen to. It made me almost cry the first time I heard it. It was gorgeous. So yeah, very good. Them two.
Nice. So Ben wants to know, who is your favourite Motown legend?
Ooh, that's hard. That's so hard. Oh man. Okay.
Never said it was going to be easy.
No, yeah, it's true. It's very true. Who's my favourite Motown legend? It's really, really, really difficult to answer. If I had to pick one, it'd be Marvin Gaye. Just because his talent was so raw and so emblematic of him wanting to go from this kind of smooth soul singer to this political activist through music, and him making that decision to do that in the climate he did it in takes a lot of strength and a lot of conviction and like will of self to do that. And he's amazing for doing that. And people are better off for his music being in the world when he decided to do it. So yeah, Marvin Gaye for me. Marvin Gaye.
Great. That was a tough question. I've got to ask. As soon as it came in, I'm like, oh, yeah. I wouldn't be able to answer that. I love Motown.
Yeah.
Love Motown. Yeah. Like, not just the musical. I'm just talking about Motown, the actual Motown. There's loads and loads of different, like, when you actually watch the musical, because I know, as I say, you've been in the Motown, the musical. Yes. That was the kind of first time. Obviously, I grew up with Motown because my dad was a big fan of Motown and stuff. So I grew up in Motown, but you don't realise when you listen to it exactly who's actually involved in that record label. It wasn't until I watched the musical that this name came out, and then these names come out, and then this name, and I'm like, well, these are attached to actually Motown, like, because there's a lot of names you think of that aren't actually attached to Motown, but that should be, because Motown was a record label. It wasn't
absolutely. A fun fact: a person who was on Motown, which not many people know, is Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis released a song on Motown record label. Look it up.
I believe you.
Mr.
You know better than me, I can assure you.
Mr. Yippee-ki-yay himself. He released a song on Motown.
The only reason I'll be looking it up is to actually listen to it. That's the only
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Right, okay.
But okay. Props to Bruce Willis.
That's that. You learn something every day. Jason wants to know what's your favourite role you've ever done?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's really hard. That's really, really, really hard. Okay, favorite role I've ever done has got to be when I played Jim Conley, Newt Lee, and Riley in Parade at Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester. It was such an amazing role because it came at a time where I really, really needed a role where I could sink my teeth into it. My nan was passing away; she had cancer, and I was doing that role alongside going through all of that. So I have really, really strong, vivid memories of really losing myself in that character because it was a way of escaping. A lot of actors will say, characters are a way of escaping. But that show allowed me to do a lot of things. It propelled me in a lot of ways, but the music in it is phenomenal. Not was, it is phenomenal. And the story in it is phenomenal too. If you haven't heard of Parade, please search it up. It's based on one of the most notorious murder trials in the history of the United States, and it is brilliant. Jason Robert Brown is take a bow. He writes amazing music, and
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so.
Definitely.
That's my favorite, I think.
That's a good answer. I love Parade. Genuinely, just everything about Parade, the songs, the characters, it's fantastic. And Brown is just a fantastic writer. Carol wants to know, not Carol King, unfortunately not Carol King. Okay. Carol wants to know, what role would you want to play in Motown if you could play any? So Motown the musical.
Oh man, if I was smoother and better looking, Marvin Gaye. If I was smoother and better looking, I'd say Marvin Gaye. I mean, I understudied Berry Gordy, and that was amazing. I got to go on 5 times near the end of the run, and I absolutely adored every minute of it. I'd overcome a lot by that point, so playing that role was the icing on top of the cake. So I would say Marvin Gaye for me. Marvin Gaye would be the role I'd love to play.
You're certainly good enough looking, don't you worry, man. Don't need to worry about that. So Craig wants to know, what was it like to step on a West End stage for the first time?
Oh.
Now, I know you haven't performed on a West End stage yet, but...
No, I haven't. I tell you what, it was amazing. Amazing. It was so surreal. I think I appreciate it so much because I haven't trained. So I didn't go through regular conservatoire training. So I'd worked my ass off to get to that point where I could step on a stage and say, this role, this show is mine, and I've earned this. And it was never one of them things where I ever felt scared of saying that or scared of owning that. And it's not big-headedness. It's more that when you really, really work hard for something and it's been a goal for a long time, when you finally get there, you know you've earned it because of the things you've gone through to get there. And I went through a lot. So I feel like me getting there was everything I dreamt of, but it's everything I made happen because I wanted it to. And that was it was a great moment. I cried. I cried. Like there's no two ways about it. I'm not scared about saying that. I cried a lot, and I cried when I came home, and I cried when I found out I got the part. So yeah, it was a phenomenal experience. And yeah, that's about it.
Great to get your first bow. because I think touring's great and the theatres around the UK are fantastic, but I think that there's nothing compares to a West End stage. Like,
yeah, I mean,
in the UK.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like for me, any stage that I've ever performed on, and the fact that I've had the honor of performing on it, I'm happy about. But I feel like you know, doing tours and doing West End are like the top of the career for theatre performers. So irrespective of where you're doing it or what real estate you're doing it on, whether it be touring around the UK or being on the West End stage, I think it's still just as much of an honor to do it. Personally, this is just my personal view. And I adore my job, man. I love it, you know. So anything to do with being on a stage is perfect for me. I've always been happy, whether it's big or small, big audience, small audience, I'm good. So
great, that's a good answer. That was a very politics answer.
Oh, thank you very much.
You didn't give the an answer. You say I like both, but in a good way. Not calling you politics. Rebecca, she wants to know, what is your favourite song in Motown, the musical?
This is actually quite easy. My favourite song I've got two. One is Can I Close the Door, which is the final big song at the end of Motown. So I'll talk about this now, and the reason why it means so much to me. I suffered an ischemic stroke last year during Motown. Yeah, so during Motown, I suffered an ischemic stroke, and I was off work for 8 weeks, and I came back and had to learn how to walk, dance, and do everything again. So when I got to do that song for the first time in front of an audience, an overwhelming amount of emotion was in that performance. I think anyone who was there will tell you that. I was crying through it because it's a very emotional song anyway, but it was even more emotional because it was kind of like it was emblematic of what I've gone through to get to that point. And that's why that song will forever be my absolute favorite song of that, because of what it means to me personally, and also what it means to the character. It's a beautiful song, beautiful song, right? Written by Michael Lovesmith for the show, especially for the show, and it's a gorgeous song. My other favorite is My Girl. I love it. I love everything it represents, because in my ensemble role, I was one of the Temptations. I played oh god, this is going to do my head in. Eddie Kendricks, there we go. Sorry, my brain did not work for a second there. Eddie Kendricks, who's one of the founders of the Temptations, and effectively it represented everything about black excellence and style and elegance and grace, and it was just so smooth. And when I stepped out there with those guys, big up to Abs Kareem, Reese, Andrew, and Michael, big up to those guys. Every time I stepped out there with those guys, I felt like the coolest guy in the world, and I felt untouchable. It was, putting on that suit felt like a suit of armor, but in like the coolest, most casual way. So I love what that song represents, and that's why that's, a very close runner-up to Can I Close the Door, what it represents. So yeah, I understand why
the Close the Door definitely was your favourite. Michael wants to know, do you have a favourite scene or line in Tina?
Ooh, favourite line is actually a line that Tina says, and it's, I'm paraphrasing here. I'm absolutely paraphrasing, but it's along the lines of, don't tell me about my dreams because you and them are nowhere near acquainted. I love that. It's such a put down. Such a put down, and it's phenomenal because she loses it, and in such a she loses it in such a controlled manner. It's so controlled, and so it's like, I'm going to tear you down, but I'm going to do it so well you will not be able to reply to me. And that was what it was. That's the line, and I was just like, oh god, I'd leave if someone said that's where I'd go. I'd leave. So yeah, it's done to a manager, Roger. He tries to basically says, "I'm going to give you everything I wanted," and she says that line to kind of put him down, put him back in his place, which is it's great.
She should with some managers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there that would love to see that to their manager, I'm sure.
She was right. She was right to do it, though. She was absolutely right to do it. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. But so Tom wants to know, what is your favourite song of Carole King's? We've had the other two, so we may as well have the third one.
No. Favorite song of Carole King's. I would say, again, I've got two. It's really annoying. I've always got two. I'm always an even number kind of guy. I love Far Away because of how reminiscent it is as a song. And I also love, in the show, if you've seen the show, there's a bit where she starts talking. She says, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. I was a writer when I was younger, and I'm making my own songs and stuff like that." There is a gorgeous piano bit that plays underneath, and it is gorgeous. It's just basically riffing around the chord progression of Far Away, and it is it gave me goosebumps every night, and I did that show a lot, and it gave me goosebumps every single time. It was gorgeous, and obviously her talking, being reminiscent, and then the music kind of underlaying that, perfection. It's one of my favorite moments of the show by a mile. The other one is You've Got a Friend. It's beautiful. It's so good. It's so good. In the show, it's really, really good, and I've always loved the song anyway. So, those are my favorite. That's my favourite.
The bit that got me, because I first saw it actually in the Old Witch, where you are, because that's where it was when it was in the West End. So the first time I ever saw it was in the West End with Cassidy Jansen playing Tina. And what got me, Tina, sorry, it's Carole King. I was looking at Tina. Cassidy Jansen did not play Tina, she played Carole King.
Yes, she did.
Just for the facts of anybody watching. She obviously, the bit that got me is how many songs she actually wrote.
Yeah.
I'm like, because a song would come on and you go, because what I like to do is I like to go in blind. Obviously, Carole King, it's kind of hard. Tina, it's kind of hard. They kind of new shows are quite hard to go in blind. But Carole King, I went in blind. You knew You Got a Friend. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? And You Make Me Feel Like an Actual Woman. Those are kind of three main songs that you know of Carole King that anyone would know. But it was the amount of other ones, I'm like, that she wrote for other people. Yeah. And I'm like, this song would come on and go, was that written by Carole King? I'm like, wow, that was the bit that got me the first time I saw it. Obviously that never came, I got it again because that feeling never came again because I'd seen it before, but after that, but that was definitely the first time I saw it. It's like, Carole King wrote that song? She wrote this song? Shit, wow.
Yeah, man, yeah.
The amount of songs she actually wrote.
I mean, Natural Woman I thought was written by Aretha Franklin because that's the first version I heard. So until I got there, I was like, what? She wrote this?
I knew Carole King wrote that,
Yeah, man. It's good
no,
stuff.
Good. So John wants to know, do you have any, maybe not because you didn't go through the normal graduation period, or not graduation, but graduating from college, performing college, but do you have any advice for students just graduating? Obviously, ignoring the COVID shutdown.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say, I mean, obviously, you've devoted 3 years of your life to pursuing a career that is. I want to be absolutely blatantly honest. It's not the nicest career. It's not the easiest one. And I would say that if you are in it for an easy ride. And an easy I'm definitely going to be on a West End stage, which does happen to people immediately coming out of graduating, but some others it doesn't. I would say to really truly love performing, you have to love every venue, the small venues, the big venues, the small audiences, the big audiences, and still tell the same story with the same conviction, irrespective of whether it's a West End stage, it's a tour stage, or it's a small audience or a big audience. Because that's what's going to get you through. And remaining consistent towards that goal is what's going to keep you going. It's a difficult industry. There's no one who has it easy. No one. Even the people you see as leads still don't have it easy. And every single person is committed to telling the story and being the best versions of themselves consistently on stage 8 shows a week. You have to have that mentality. You have to have that way of stepping into work. Even before you go on stage, when you set out of the house, that's what your goal is. You get to work, you know, you do your warm-ups, you do everything like that. You've got to be committed to that idea of you are very much there for the audience. You are there to tell the story to them. It's for them. It's not for you. Leave your ego at the door, do the job. Yeah, be ready for no's. Understand that you've got to crawl through the, I don't know if I'm not allowed to curse here, but be ready to go through the awful stuff, to crawl through the mud of the industry before you start getting the yeses. And to be honest, that crawling through the mud will get you so much further because you understand what no's are like. You understand what it's like to be turned down. You understand what it's like to not get the part you wanted. Still get a role, but you don't get the part you wanted. You understand all of that. And then when you do get to a point where you do get them yeses and you do get the job and you do get the work that you want, you appreciate it a lot more. And you, again, the commitment is reaffirmed by continuing with that level of consistency. So yeah, those are the pieces of advice I'd give, definitely.
Fantastic piece of advice. That's definitely fantastic advice.
And also practice humility. Practice humility. Humility is not saying that you're terrible and awful at everything. Like, oh, you're really, really good. Oh, I'm not really that good. It's not that. Humility is understanding that, you know, I mean, if you look at my CV, I've played lead roles, I've played supporting roles, and I've played ensemble. I love the job, not how much exposure I'm getting. You know, exposure is great, and having the limelight on you is great, and I love it. I do. That's why I do what I do. But simultaneously, I love being part of the storytelling team. I love being part of the entertainment team. It is a team effort. It's not about just, you know, being the top dog all the time. Practice humility, absolutely, and you'll keep working. You really, really will.
No, I'm sure, just on the back of what you just said there, obviously with regard to this musical, it's not all about just being Tina, although it's the Tina story. The other characters, and I'm sure the girls that play Tina, I'll agree this as well. It's not all about them completely, because without the rest of the cast, without, for example, Richard or even Ike, and the rest, but they're the only two that I can name off the top of my head. There's loads more I know. But without them, there isn't a story of Tina, because it would just be a concert. It would be a Tina concert if it was just
absolutely. You and even if it was just a solo Tina concert, there is an entire team that isn't on the stage with you that are working just as hard as you, come in earlier than you, put in more hours than you. You know, in terms, I'm talking like wigs, wardrobe, stage team, musicians, you know, these guys who don't get the instant recognition that actors get on stage with the applause. It is about them too, and they are some of the most integral people in a show. We get 4 weeks to rehearse, 4 or 5 weeks to rehearse what we rehearse. You know, wardrobe are sat there, that, you know, we're coming in to do fittings, they're doing everyone else's fitting, it's not just your fitting. You know, they're working on such a grand scale in terms of the show, whereas all we have to worry about is ourselves and how we doing stuff right, and how do we make sure we're at the best we can be. They're thinking about everyone at all times. So, you know, it's not just the team on stage. Well, that's another tip as well. Like, learn the names of every single person you work with. From the cleaning lady to the director and everyone else in between, your entire cast members, learn their names. Everyone has a job for making the machine run. And if you only acknowledge those that you deem important, then that says a lot about you as a person.
That's very good advice, Matt. Very, very good advice, actually. Great advice, I would say. Thomas wants to know, do you have any pre-show rituals?
Do I have any what, sorry?
Pre-show rituals.
Pre-show rituals. Sorry, I lost you a bit there. No, I lost you a bit. Okay, pre-show rituals. I So I'm a martial artist. I was a martial artist for about 7 years. And I always view it like I'm about to go into a fight. So I have rituals that kind of pertain to that. I also say a prayer for every single person involved. I pray to God that everyone does the best and is the best of themselves on the stage tonight or behind the stage tonight. They give the best of themselves so that we can tell the story and give the best show to everyone that everyone can. So I do that. And they're kind of like my rituals, really. And I also drink a whole heap of water, but I think that's something that everyone does anyway. But I drink a whole heap of water. But I also listen to music as well. I also have a playlist that I listen to when I'm in the dressing room, especially when I'm having those days where I'm feeling really, really tired. It's like the 7th show of the week, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And it's that kind of like hype playlist
from someone.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
So yeah, they're my rituals.
That's nice rituals. Yes, definitely. That's not strange ones, which some people have, and some people have come up with strange. Right? I'm like, really? You do that? But I'm like, okay, but yours are nice ones. So Olivia wants, definitely. So Olivia wants to know what's better, TV or stage? Because you have been on TV as well.
Yes, I have. I don't think one's better. I'm such a fence sitter. I don't think. I have
2 favorite songs. I don't think
anything. I think they have their time and their place. I feel theatre is an irreplaceable experience in which you get instant feedback from the audience whether you're doing good or bad. If a joke's funny, people laugh. If a joke's not funny, people won't laugh. If something's tense, there is an atmosphere there which is palpable. Live music, live voices, live dancing. You see the sweat dripping off people's face. When we're doing routines. And there's also a commitment to consistency that theatre has to have, and TV's. There is a commitment to consistency there, but it's a different consistency. Ours is we have to do the same show every night without fail. And we have to keep that show at a certain level of quality every night without fail, every week of every month of every year. So there is some consistency that we have to commit to. Whereas with TV, it tells a story because you can always get the best take. You can always pick the best take. The continuity obviously comes in, set design and costume design and makeup and hair and everything keeping, a level of consistency, and that is an art within itself. But you also get to create an atmosphere through editing. You also get to create an atmosphere through post-production, as well as when the actors are there and giving you, their best renditions of said characters within said scenes. So I think they both serve their purpose, as it were, and I think they're both equally as fun to work on, because I've done live TV and then I've done filmed kind of like stuff. Live TV feels like a live show, just with less people in the audience, effectively. There was a lot of people in the audience when they Don't Stop Believing, but there was the Old Witch holds more than what was holding in that TV stage, sorry. So yeah, I feel like they're both equally exciting. There's that thing of like, I've got to kind of give my best and stuff like that, to everyone on stage, and have that layer of consistency.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually touch on Don't Stop Believing. You mentioned that. That was on Channel 5, wasn't it? That was the show.
It was.
Because they're looking for the best Glee club.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of in the middle of the hype of Glee, which was on Sky. It was in kind of middle of that. Were you actually a contestant on it?
No. So what I was part of a group called that they brilliantly named the Super Group, and it was an incentive basically to get 5 people every week. So they'd audition in these little kind of like pods up and down the UK, and they would have us come in and audition, and then if we were successful, we put down all our details, and then they call us back, and we do an audition at was it Pineapple? I think it was Pineapple. It was about 10 years ago now, but it was a lot. It was wild, yeah. I think it was a Pineapple anyway, and we did a final kind of audition there, and then we were on TV the next week. So that happened every week throughout the entire show. 5 people were added every week, and I was added in week 3. So I was on from week 3 through to week 6, and got to do live TV performances. Got to perform at Disneyland in Paris, which was great. Got to work with some absolutely phenomenal people: Chucky Clapow, Kim Gavin, Duncan from Blue, Tamsin Althwaite. Got to meet Lulu. Got to meet work with Anastasia, all that stuff. So we got to work with absolutely phenomenal people throughout the process. So I loved it. I had so much fun on that show. So.
Oh, I loved it. Like I was a massive Glee fan, so it just fitted in nicely for me. I definitely remember it. But Sarah asked an interesting question. We get this one quite a lot at the moment for different people. But Sarah wants to know, if you had to go into lockdown with a character from Tina, who would it be and why? So this is a character we're looking at, not the actor that plays them or actress.
Oh God, who would I want to go into lockdown with? Ooh, hold on. Oh, I would. It's really, really hard. Okay. I'm going to pick one this time. I'm going to pick one.
Oh, you have to pick one.
I would go into lockdown with Tina. I'd go into lockdown with Tina Turner. We just sit down and we talk about her life, and I would just be ultimately inspired by her life. I know it sounds like a really cop-out kind of answer.
The thing is with that though, is you might walk out of lockdown and never want to perform again because you'd think I'm no manage that height, so we'll just no bother.
No.
Go the opposite way.
I feel like everyone's journey is their own journey. And I to compare my journey to somebody else's, that's comparison is the theft of joy, they say. And I would never compare my journey because I didn't grow up in that time. I'm not a woman, and stuff like that. So it was a very different journey for her, and it was always going to be a different journey for her than everybody else. And I'm inspired that she kept the consistency in her journey and really saw it through and did it on her terms. Yeah. And that's inspirational by itself. So I think in terms of having a positive frame of mind, seeing someone who's overcome so many obstacles in their life and having those conversations with that person would ultimately give you the best positive frame of mind, seeing through lockdown and coming out the other end. So Tina would be my answer.
Matt Mills for Prime Minister. Come on, I'll get this going. Western talks, we'll get this going. Matt Mills for Prime Minister.
I am nowhere near.
Some of these answers are fantastic.
Yeah.
So Alex moves on, and he wants to know, what would the hardest thing about playing Ike when you get the chance? Obviously, you cover Ike, but.
I mean, I've done some kind of like rehearsal bits with Ike. The hardest...
No, not with Ike, because Ike's dead.
No, not with Ike. Yeah, but no, I say it with him like it's a separate version of myself. But
yes,
I've done some rehearsals as Ike, and treating another human being, irrespective of race or gender or anything else in between, treating another human being in some of the ways that Ike treated Tina was horrible. And finding the truth in that is hard to do. And I think that's the hardest thing for any actor, playing a role that is, through Tina's prism. This is Ike, so we're seeing everything through Tina's prism. It's her memories, it's her story. So, there may have been some time, I mean, if Ike's autobiography is anything to go by, some really, really lovely times between the two of them. But because we're seeing it through Tina's prism, we're remembering a lot of the horrible parts of Ike. And, no one except for her and Ike know the real story of what happened there. But yeah, finding the truth of Ike, finding that switch in anger, finding that level of manipulation that he has, and that way of controlling a room through fear was hard to do. It's a part of me. It's a part of everyone. Everyone has that part in them, but accessing that and accessing it again and again and again is a hard thing to do at the start. And then you kind of get into a swing of it. But that initial access of that part of a character is hard. It's hard to do, especially when you get on with Aisha and Chanel, and they're so lovely. You're sitting down and having, you know, lunch with them and stuff, and you know you have to do these scenes where you're calling them awful things and, you know, hitting them, and you know it's all of that is hard to do. So and also, you know,
you need to go in and say, could you just be slightly less likable, please, to the girls? Just slightly less likable. Make it a bit more easy on me.
Yeah. No, it's but they're phenomenal actresses. All four of the Tinas are phenomenal actresses, and they really do react off everything you give them. They're such giving actresses. You know, because Richard has a couple of scenes where he's quite scary too. And you know, so it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's coming from the same place as Ike, but some of the same things you need to access are there. So there is consistency between the two, the one I cover and the one I play. But they're so giving. They really do. They're so attentive to what I need to be that part of myself. And when I am that part of myself, they react in a way that gives me that extra bit of energy to go that bit further and that bit deeper. So like props to the ladies I act alongside. Lucy, Samara, Rihanna, and Aisha and Chanel. They are phenomenal actresses. So yeah.
No, definitely. I've listened to the Aisha. I've heard Aisha sing. I'm trying to think. One of them was at West End Live last year, but I can't remember who it was exactly.
It may have been. I've not seen the West End Live, so I couldn't comment. But
certainly one person, one of the girls was there, but I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Chanel. It might have been the understudy. Usually they send understudy. They don't usually send, because especially if it's
Chanel's a newer one. Chanel's like new. Like she's come up to America like for this job.
All right.
So yeah, so she's new. So it wouldn't have been her. Yeah, it may have been Aisha. I don't know all of the Tinas, but who were playing before I came in. But yeah, that I mean, every single one I've seen and worked with has been great. So I guarantee it's a phenomenal performance.
Just a couple more. You'll be glad to know.
Yeah, no. I love it.
Lydia wants to know: is there any tips on keeping your voice safe?
Okay. I think for me personally, I think Okay, so it's kind of way of phrasing the question, phrasing the answer. Sorry. For me, making sure that we're warming up. I wake up early. When coming into rehearsals, I would wake up early to go in the shower, have a nice hot shower, warm up in the shower, drink a whole heap of water so my voice is hydrated. Keeping your voice hydrated is the main thing. Absolutely. Hydration of the voice is a big thing. And also, you know, when you're in the rehearsal room, knowing when to do a softer run of something, because you're running this, you know, 2, 3 times a day, 2, 3, 4 times a day, whatever. And it could be like, okay, we need to just take it from this point mid-song. So it's like you've got to find where that energy is in your voice as well as physicality and stuff. And you have to find a way of giving a level of performance, but not giving the whole thing 100% all the time in rehearsal, because you don't need to prove anything to anybody. Everyone knows you can sing it. And you know, I'm guilty of it sometimes as well. But at the same time, yeah, you've got to work out a way where you can give a level of performance so that they know you're doing it, but simultaneously keep yourself safe for future rehearsals and also future performances. But within performances, I'd definitely say, you know, wake up early, warm up early, hydration of the voice, really, really warm up, really take care of your instrument, and take care of yourself, eat well, you know, train well, because, you know, physicality is part to do with your voice as well. It's a muscle like any other. So
yeah.
That's what I say. I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but that's what I do personally. So
that's the whole point of these interviews. We're not saying you're a complete expert. We're not. We think you're fantastic. We don't think you're a complete expert. It's what you do. It's your points of views and what you do that they're looking for. Fans are looking for. Joe wants to know, what is your view on stage dooring?
Stage dooring. So is that where people fans of the show come in?
Fans, yeah.
Personally, I love it. I love hearing about the show and what people thought of it. I guess I'm not one of them actors who kind of asks, "Oh, did you enjoy the show?" Because it's kind of informing their opinion of the show. I like to genuinely hear what they thought of it, and how what their perspective is of the show. But yeah, I love it. I find it weird even now, 11 years into the industry, 11 years into the industry of signing programs and people wanting my signature. I find that insane. So I'm very humbled by it, very, very humbled by it, that someone would want my signature in a program or on a piece of paper or whatever, or a picture with me. I love it. I embrace it. If people want to do that with me, fine. If people don't, that's absolutely fine too. I just love the fact that I've hopefully done a good job, and I can now go home and kick back having that in the back of my head, feeling like I've earned my money, and also giving people an experience that night when they came to see the show. But if people want to stage door with me, amazing, absolutely, I will happily do that. I'm never too tired.
I stage door.
Yeah,
I stage door everything, because without the fans, to a certain extent, okay, I understand it's not a compulsory part of things. That's what a lot of people. That's why I like stage door, and obviously is not compulsory. It's not part of your contract. And trying to tell people that when, because obviously some people who maybe if it's show 8, for example, for Saturday night, you just want to get home. You've done 8 shows that week. You maybe don't have a show on a Sunday or the Monday, whatever. Depends how your shows run. You just want to go home. You want to chill out, relax. You don't want to have to sit in there for half an hour more signing programs and stuff, which I can understand. Which is why I whoever comes out. That's my opinion. I do like a full set of autographs, so I will keep going back to get a full book. Bad like that, but that just means
not sad at all. I don't do that.
It means more times I get to see the musical. But no, I definitely. But you said earlier you liked it because you liked to get an honest opinion on how people felt about the show. Have you genuinely ever had an honest opinion, like a bad review at stage door?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had people say, "Oh, I didn't really enjoy it," or they've seen it before and said, "Oh, the last time I saw it was actually better," and stuff like that. And I'm like, fair enough. I said, "Where do you think?" I have a conversation with them. I say, "Oh, what didn't you like by comparison?" Stuff like that. It's not anything that I run back to production and say, "Oh, well, Carol from this place didn't like the kickball change on this piece of choreography." But at the same time, I do think it's interesting to hear back, because the thing is, if you put something out there artistically, and to be honest, anything artistically, it has the right to be judged, and it has the right for people to give their opinion. It's just down to whether you want to listen to the opinion, and I do. I find it really interesting. I like to see what people think of what we've done and why they think it. I think it's important for me. So.
But then there's the fine line of listening and taking it to heart. There's that fine line. Like, you've got to be able to not actually take it to complete heart, because it's not necessarily a critic. And the also thing is, as well, like a lot of people like me who I have no experience in acting, dancing, singing, but I do like to have an opinion on shows. 9 times out of 10, it's the cast were fantastic, but the songs were rubbish or whatever. But if there is a bad review, I'm not saying everything's like that. But people like myself who don't have any experience are usually the most opinionated.
But I would also argue, though, that what moves you, what you enjoy.
That's very true. Yes, that's very true.
That's just as valid whether you have all the experience in the world or not a single iota of experience. So I do feel like I think there is a way of putting across your opinion. I think there is a way that some people can become over the top vitriolic to a certain extent, and it's a bit okay. But I do think an opinion of something is valid. And if I do genuinely have the time to listen and talk to you about it, I will happily talk to you about it. I find it really, really fascinating hearing people's overall opinion of something that they've just witnessed and just experienced. So, you know, I genuinely do value that. I value a level of honesty.
I will make sure I give you my opinion at stage door when I first see you.
Absolutely. I practice what I preach, so it's
good. Last question from the fans.
Okay.
And it's an interesting question. I don't think I've ever had this question before. Rob wants to know if you had to redo a character you've played before by redoing it on the West End, who would you do and why?
If I had to redo a character, so is this in terms of playing it again?
Yes, so playing it again. So doing it
again.
I'm assuming that
having to do something different. Okay. What character would I play? That's so hard. You know what? I would love to play Judas again now. Just because my voice has got better, my voice has developed. I'm older, so I know how to pace myself a bit better and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say Judas, just because I feel like I could do it even more justice now as a more seasoned performer. So yeah, I would definitely say Judas and Jesus Christ Superstar would be the one.
It was by the way, Rob that I actually saw you as Judas.
Right, okay.
It was him that actually saw you. That's how he started his message. I saw Matt in Jesus Christ Superstar. He says, but I've seen him since Beautiful and Motown. So, but
man, that's so lovely. Lovely. Thank you.
So you played because I know we talked about it, but we talked about it off camera. So you mentioned there you played Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar. But what was that like? Because you played it with Tim Rice in the audience.
Yes, so he was there. His team was there, and yeah, they were kind of all representing kind of like the original writing team and stuff. And it was terrifying having all them guys there, because this is their work. This is their brainchild, as it were. And we were doing it in a way that was very, very different. We were doing it in an actual church, during cathedral, no less. It's huge. It's freaking huge. So, we're having to deal with the sound issues of, pillars getting in the way of sound projection, sound quality, so that people at the back were getting a different show from people at the front because they were getting it in an echo, basically. So we were dealing with so much stuff, but I loved it. Personally, it's always one of them things where the thought of something is terrifying. The thought of performing in front of Tim Writing's team and stuff like that is terrifying. But simultaneously, it's really it's all about like the overall audience. You can't just perform to an entire group of people and single one out just because it's their work. The audience is the audience at the end of the day. And for me, I just loved I loved the journey of it all, and I loved the feedback of everything. It was very interactive in a sense. We were very, very close to people, when we were doing these songs. So it wasn't like a proscenium arch experience where they're sat quite far away and they're kind of looking up at us. We were coming through the audience, round the audience, up on podiums near the audience. Like we were very close to them, so we could feel the atmosphere of everyone, and it was great. I loved it. I'd love to do that again as an older person, because I don't think I fully appreciated it until I was older. So yeah, I'd love to do that again.
I know I'll before it gets another West End, because it was just obviously in the West End last summer, and then the summer 2 summers ago, and then last summer as well.
Yeah, that's Tyrone Huntley's part though. That's Tyrone Huntley's that's his part, man. He's phenomenal. Like I would never even try it now on that level. But yeah, he's something else. His voice is stupid.
It was
yeah. So big up to him, man, because he's killing the game, man. He's phenomenal. So.
I've actually got one more question I've just thought of there. So you talked obviously about the pressure of having Tim Rice in the audience. But thinking about the show you're about to go into, if the lady herself was there,
Yeah.
You mentioned you've not met her, but you'd love to. But if she did suddenly appear at a show, because you probably won't get much warning that she's coming.
No, probably not. Yeah.
For security reasons and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So if she was to suddenly appear, would you be more comfortable as her father or her husband? Or her ex-husband? Obviously, it's not her husband. But.
Either. I'd love the challenge of either. I am. I'm big into the belief that you just got to do the show as a show, and your version of Ike is a version of Ike. You know what I mean? I think, like I said at the beginning, it's about the idiosyncrasies. It's about the small stuff. It's about the characterization rather than me being Ike. It's a version of Ike. And I think and I hope that Tina would appreciate that, because that's the reason why we were cast. And I would love to do either, honestly. If she said that you captured the essence of my father or my my ex-husband, then I would take that as the biggest compliment I could ever get from someone.
I was about to say, it doesn't matter who you stage door with now. You're like, Tina likes it, so that doesn't matter. I don't care. Tina likes it. Tina signed it off. So you can think what you like.
No, I would never invalidate someone's opinion like that. That's so bad.
My biggest critic likes it.
Yeah, no, I and I had the same kind of thing where, so I did Five Guys Named Mo. I did it in Edinburgh before I came to London, and I worked with Clark Peters on it. And he wrote the script of it, and performing it in front of him, rehearsing in front of him, and going through that journey and that process with him was amazing, because he was like, at the end of the day, like, this is why I love actors. This is why I love acting. It's like, you put it in front of people and they do different things with that you never even thought about because of their interpretation and their perspective. So that gave me such reinforcement that, like, you're going the right path because it's your interpretation of the journey of the character. So yeah, so I think I'd feel the same way if Tina was in. But obviously there'd be absolute excitement. It'd be insane. Like, everyone would go 10 to the dozen. It'd be insane. Like, it'd be so good. But, like, if I didn't know, I would still go 10 to the dozen, because that's just what I'm like. You ask anybody who knows me, I'm extra.
Would you rather know she was in, or would you rather know after it? Because some people would like to know before, but some people wouldn't want to know until after.
I could understand why certain parts would definitely want to know, but then I could also understand why they wouldn't. For me personally, I think I would rather not know. I'd rather not know, I think.
Yeah, I would as well.
Because it's like, I just want to do the show to the best of my ability, because that's my prerogative to do so, rather than me trying to add extra stuff in subconsciously or do little extra things because she's watching. And I think everyone's been a bit guilty of doing something like that when they know someone important's in. I think you'd be lying to say that you don't. But for me, and one of the best bits of advice I was ever given was, never let anybody know by your performance that someone's in.
Yes, that's good. Yes.
So basically, if you can perform 8 shows a week and you have a certain level of energy, and that energy is like high points, it's really, really enthusiastic, whatever, and then there's someone in, and they go, oh yeah, I've got friends in tonight and stuff like that, and they go, oh really, do you have friends in? Oh, okay. Like, they couldn't tell because your performance was still at that level.
Yeah.
It was whether someone was in or not, your friend, your mum, your dad, Tina Turner or their agents or whatever. They couldn't tell, because you give that same consistent level of performance and energy every night. Whereas if you've got someone who's kind of, oh yeah, kind of like doing their thing and like, kind of going through it, and then they do some next level stuff, you're like, oh, you definitely had someone in.
You have
consistency. Yeah. So it's always let your performance just be the level of performance you always try to do. And if someone's in, they're in. Great. If someone's not, they're not. You're giving the same show every night.
The same show. Fantastic advice. But that brings us to the end of the fans' set of questions. We'll now go into the West End Talks not so quick fire round.
Oh God. Okay, let's do it.
4 questions and an activity at the end.
Oh, okay. Oh,
chose
God.
to go in blind. You've chose to go in blind, so you had the option. You had
yes,
the option.
I did. I'm regretting this now, but yeah.
So the first question is, what is your dream male role? So regardless of race or age, doesn't matter. What is your dream male role?
Dream male role is George Washington in Hamilton. I'd love to do that.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes, could see in Hamilton. Yeah, definitely. What would be your dream gender bend role? So that's a female role. Because everybody's got one.
Oh, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. Oh man. Oh, gender bend role. That's so hot. Okay. I try to think of like some of the shows I've done. I was like, I'd love to. You know what? Hairspray. I'd love to play Motown Maybell in Hairspray. That'd be awesome. I'd love to do that.
That'd be a good one.
That would be a giggle. That'd be really, really fun to do. So yeah.
You can fight with Marisha Wallace then. Ask for one show for her in the way, because she's taking it over in the West End. I'm sure if you ask nicely, she'll let you do it.
No, I'm good. I'll let her do it. You know, she's not that I'll let her do it. She's doing it.
She's doing it.
Yeah, not like by the grace of me, she'll do it.
Yes, it's all up to Matt Mills whether you do it or Marisha.
Oh yeah. I'm the keykeeper of all the gates, and if you don't get one from me, you're not doing the role. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
No problem. It's adding more interesting bits to the interview, definitely.
Yeah.
The next question is, what's your favourite musical theatre song? So it doesn't have to be one you've performed. It can be any song.
Oh.
That's the hardest question, I think.
My favourite one, again, is from the character that I really, really want to play. History Has Its Eyes on You. I love it. It's really, really kind of ominous, and where it falls in the show, it's the level of advice and maturity that Washington has to have to deliver it, and you know, informing him of that his actions have big consequences for people you may never see or meet or even experience. It's that, you know, great men plant the seeds of trees that they will never sit under the shade under, type of thing. It's that thing. So what you're going to do will have massive ripple effects throughout history, and history has its eyes on you, because us, the people who are learning about it now, are now learning about the history of this man. And that I love how that ties into the overall kind of story of Hamilton himself. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorites.
I wish somebody would say that to Donald Trump. Sorry. What is this?
Absolutely.
We're not getting into that conversation. We're not getting into that.
Absolutely.
Not the place. But yes. Yes. Top 5 shows. Not necessarily ones you've been in. Not necessarily ones you've been in.
Okay. One of them is, I mean, this is not in order. I'm just thinking of shows as I go, but Carolina Change was the show that made me watch it and just go, holy, I want to do this. I need to do this, and I would love to do that show. I don't know what part I play, but I'd love to be in it. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous show. What's another? It's musical theatre, isn't it? Part of it. I mean,
it can be plays. It can be plays as well.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, another one would be Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, the all-black version with James Earl Jones in. I got to shake the man's hand after the show, and I got to shake Darth Vader and Mufasa's hand. That was amazing, and it just inspired me seeing an all-black cast of that as a young actor. It was amazing, and Adrian Lester was in it. He's genuinely one of the coolest dudes I've ever seen. Everything. He's so smooth. So I love that. That was very, very inspiring to me. Oh, what's another one? John Z.D., who is a pioneer of hip hop theater. Him doing a show called Tag was amazing. And oh god, I another show of his where it had the rapper Banksy in as well. Was a show that I adored as well. It was amazing. and I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. It's doing my head in. And the final one would be, I'll call it Lenny Henry Othello. The Lenny Henry version of Othello. It was amazing. I loved it. And a guy called Conrad Nelson, who played Iago, was sublime. He was something else. Oh my God. I was just like, dude, wow. Like, wow. Yeah, he was something else. I have not forgotten that man's name or performance since I've seen it. He was just amazing. I was like, just put him in everything. He's so good. So yeah, those are my favorite kind of like off the top of my head live experiences that I've ever had. But yeah, that would be it.
Some great answers, can I tell you? That was some great, because they weren't just, and no disrespect to anybody else that's answered these, but they weren't just Les Mis or the normal and like the normal answers. The get out answers, as I call them. Some people they have a lot of people's favourites. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm not saying anything against that. But you actually put sort of a bit of thought into it and gave us completely different. And two actually that I'm about to go and look up after we're finished.
Yeah, one's called Tag, and there's something like called like In My Name or something. It's gonna do my head in. But as soon as you hang up from the Zoom call, you'll know it. I really will. But yeah, John Z. D, amazing guy, and doing hip hop theatre. He's phenomenal. So
I'll definitely go and have a look at that. The last task that we have for you, Matt, tonight is: have you heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Oh my God, yes. I did the Ice Bucket Challenge.
You've done it once before. That's good to know. We're not going to ask you to pour ice over yourself. Don't worry.
Thank you.
The only reason we mention it is obviously you did the Ice Bucket Challenge and then you had to nominate somebody to do the next one.
Yes, I did.
So what we've done is we've done the West End Talk nomination. So what we ask everybody to do is you on video, so in the chat today, is nominate somebody in the theatre, film, TV industry that you know, because you have to have some bit of, because the purpose of it is to get them in to do a talk.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And so you don't name Tina Turner because you don't actually know her. I'd love to get Tina Turner into a chat, but there's no way that's going to happen. So we need to think realistic, somebody you know, but somebody that we can give the fans questions to, put them through this pain that you've went through.
It's not pain, it's pleasure. I loved it. I love this. You know what? Someone who he's my best friend. He's someone I call a brother. He's my best friend. He also shares the same name as me. His name is Matthew Campbell. I did Beautiful with him.
I was about to say he was in Beautiful.
Yeah, and he is genuinely one of the most beautiful human beings I have ever had the pleasure to know and have the pleasure to call a brother. So yeah, he'd be brilliant to talk to. He's brilliant.
Great. So what we ask you to do now then is once you finish the chat, pop onto Twitter. Put a tweet up just to say, just done my chat with West End Talks. Now it's your turn, Matthew. And tag back to you. That's it. And we'll get that set up.
Did I get nominated for this?
No, you didn't get nominated. You were one of the first. We contacted you. Yeah. You actually were like the second or third person that got back to us, actually. You were pretty quick.
Right,
you were one of the quick ones to get back. But
great,
no, that's us at the end. You have gone through the pain. You've survived it. Thank you very much for joining us. All that's left for you guys at home to remember is the charity. We are here for Acting for Others, who are helping the West End and all actors in theatre, TV, film, that they are out of work at the moment, and also throughout the year. They help anyway throughout the year, so it's a great charity to help all year round. So anything at all you can donate, as I say, every little helps. I'm stealing Tesco's saying. Just pop it in the bio, the link in the bio below, Just Giving page. Pop it in that. Anything at all will be appreciated and go towards helping these guys, because we're not just here for fun. As much as I'd like to hope you had fun, we're not just here for fun. But thank you very much. Join us next time when we have Dermot Canavan. That's going to be tricky when I get to interview. Canavan, who's playing the male authority figure and cover Wilbur in Hairspray, the West End version. So that will be if and when it opens. No, it will definitely open. But it's supposed to open the 1st of September, but we'll wait and see what happens with details. But thank you very much, Matt, for joining us. I will certainly be at the Old Witch. No, the Old Witch. Sorry. Hi, the Old Witch. As soon as I can. I was right. After I'm not thinking, is it? I'm reading it down here. I'm going, it's the Old Witch. As quick as I can after lockdown, definitely to come and see you. Play records. So, but thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care. Bye, guys.
I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories.